We are now officially done with the building phase of our gaming table. Woohoo! We made it! So now we're on to painting. Before we get to the actual base coat painting, we want to lay the boards out and make sure that everything lines up properly. We want to make sure that there are no uneven edges where the sand or the rocks are impeding the boards from lining up correctly. We want to make sure that there aren't any areas that are too sparse or too cluttered or anything that really looks out of place. And we also want to seal the board with our scenic cement or any other type of PVA glue that you've watered down that dries clear, and then we'll be ready to paint. So make sure if you're following along or doing your own board that all of that is taken care of before you start laying your first base coat, and you will be ready to go. Now that the scenic cement has been applied and has been given ample time to dry, it's time to lay down our first base coat. Our base coat is going to be in black, and the reason I say first is it may take 2 coats to get a solid black. It really depends on which type of paint you use, as well as your method for actually applying it to the board. As far as the actual application process goes, there are really only 2 methods of delivering the paint to the board. You have your standard brush, which I have a 3-inch version here, a 1-inch version, and a poly brush, which is just a foam brush. This is really good for getting into tight places that you couldn't normally get to with a large brush. It has the fine point on the end, so underneath hills or rocks or in places that you don't want to leave brush strokes, this is a very good tool, and they make these in all sizes, 3-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch. So either of these will work fine for applying our base coat. We just need to make sure that once we put it down, we don't leave any brush strokes. Now, the second method is actually a lot easier, although not nearly as inexpensive as just using a regular brush. We have an airbrush and an automotive spray gun. The airbrush is good for smaller pieces of terrain or base coating miniatures. As far as base coating a table goes, probably not ideal. It doesn't have a very wide spray pattern. That's why I like the automotive spray gun. It is very easy to use, easy to handle. Just has a fingertip spray button, and you can coat an entire board in, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes as opposed to 20 or 30 minutes with a brush. So it's all about what you want to use and how much you want to spend on saving some time. But once the decision's been made as to how the paint is actually going to be applied to the board, we need to decide which type of paint will work best for our situation. The Tamiya color and the Createx airbrush colors, very good for base coating miniatures or models, small terrain pieces. These are fairly expensive, but work, of course, just like they should in an airbrush. So we really don't want to use these for our project. We have the Vallejo Game Color, Games Workshop Chaos Black. I don't even want to think about excuse me, how much it would cost to do a 4x6 table with this little amount of paint. So of course we don't want to use that either. So that really only leaves us with 2 options for basing our table. So the 2 options that are left, we have our garden variety acrylic paint. This happens to be Apple Barrel. It comes from Walmart. I believe it's $1.99 or $1.49 for an 8-ounce bottle. So compare that to a $3.50 jar of Games Workshop Black, and it's not real hard to see how this would be more economical. Now, let me move some of this out of the way. I wouldn't necessarily recommend base coating an entire 4x6 table with 10 tubes of this. This is more suited for medium to large size terrain pieces, like this, for example. You can do several of these with one coat of black, and that's fine, that works for that. But we want to do a large table, so I have gone with this ColorPlace interior latex flat wall paint. You can go exterior, you can go with stain blocker, you can go with any kind of paint like this. In the gallon is, in my opinion, the best thing to use, because number one, it is just a base coat, number two, it is acrylic and will wash up with water. So yeah, this is the way to go. $7 for, how much is that? 116 ounces for $7, or 0.4 ounces for $3.50. Again, not a real hard decision for me. I don't know about you. The problem with using either of these is they are rather thick, and when I say rather thick, I mean really thick. So we need to take care of that by using this Paint Easy. The Paint Easy is a latex paint conditioner. It will thin out your paint without making it so diluted that it turns into a wash. This is relatively inexpensive also. $6 for 32 ounces is incredible. This will do up to 2 gallons of paint, and you will not lose your consistency. Your pigment won't break up in these cheaper paints. This stuff is really a godsend, and it will make spraying in our auto sprayer much easier, much faster. So I highly recommend this for thinning your paints down, whether you decide to go with the craft paint or your wall paint. So I believe I've covered everything to this point. If I've left something out, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I apologize in advance for going into a lot of detail on things like this. I know most of you have probably built terrain before. I'm just trying to cover the bases for those who may not know where to start or what to buy or what to do with what they buy. So again, thank you for your patience and your subscriptions. This is what I've decided to use: my ColorPlace latex flat wall tinted black, Paint Easy latex paint conditioner, my automotive spray gun, and my 2 brushes just for the places that may not be able to get to it with the spray gun. So that is it. I'll get the board painted black. I won't be doing that on camera because all I'm going to be doing is holding this, pushing the trigger, and going back and forth until the board is completely black. That's it.